Hi, I'm Lynn Thurman and I want to welcome you to my brand new show. It is The Quiet Rebellion Against the Ordinary. Today it's just an introduction. I've got other things in the pipeline, but I just really wanted to get the ball rolling on this. It's been a while since I have done any kind of video or podcasting shows, so please bear with me as I am very rusty and, to be honest, I was never very good to begin with, so this will be a learning process for both of us. So first of all, thank you for joining in, and I just really want to tell you about this concept that's been with me for about 3 or 4 months, about a quiet rebellion. Now, if you've been following me around on the internet for a while, you would see that this is kind of a theme that is even longer. Back in 2014, I wrote The Inner Goddess Revolution. So there's this idea of revolution, of rebellion, that I feel needs to be addressed and needs to be acknowledged in the world. Not a violent, bloody revolution, because I am just so not for them, or a violent, aggressive rebellion, but something that comes from the inside and propels people to do things that are against the ordinary, that are against what people expect of them or what society expects of them. And often it's not the people who are making the loudest noises that are making the biggest difference. It's the people that are the loudest that usually hog the limelight. But there are so many people doing amazing, wonderful stuff in this world that we just don't get to hear about. So I thought I would begin again doing a TV show or podcast. I'm going to do it on both. So if you're watching me or you're listening to me, you can catch me on YouTube, or you'll be able to get me on different podcast channels. So my ideas for a quiet rebellion against the ordinary is to interview people who are doing things that are against the norm. And these don't have to be amazingly big things, because the big things really are too big for one person to tackle in one go, where all of us can make small steps towards bettering our own lives, bettering the lives of others, bettering our community, bettering Mother Earth. And this is where the magic happens. It happens at the inner level rather than the outer level to begin with. We all have to start a movement. We all have to begin somewhere. And today I want to talk about, where do we begin? Because if we look at our lives, or more important, if we look at the world around us, everything is kind of hectic, chaotic, doesn't make much sense. There's so much violence, so much unhappiness, so much unrest that it can become really overwhelming, because what can one person out of a sea of 7 billion souls do? And it's that kind of mindset that keeps us small and keeps us in place and keeps us within the ordinary, within our boxes and containers. But once we begin to think about things and to realise that we have this wonderful power within us to do things that feel good for us and then will feel good for other people, we can make change, even if they're small, quiet steps, which are the most important, I believe. Then our world changes. One person can change the world, and the things that we think are so big, like all the ecological problems that we face, if each one of us took responsibility and made small steps, then the world will change really quickly. And if you're watching this on video, I apologise, the cam and the light are doing weird, crazy stuff. If you're listening on podcast, just ignore it, because it won't make any difference to you. So let's get back to this idea of taking small steps. How do we know what is ordinary to begin with? That's our starting place. For me, when I think about what an ordinary life looks like, of course it will be different for everybody. An ordinary life is, you go to school or college, you get a job, you work the job, you get married, you have kids, you pretend to be happy while doing a job that makes you really miserable. And then eventually you retire and you die, and it's kind of a very linear, born, die. In between there might be some holidays abroad and some fun, but mostly we're kind of conditioned to think about life it's not really a very enjoyable pursuit. It's something that we start when we're born and we end when we die, and in the middle we do stuff, usually stuff that doesn't even make us happy. And to get ourselves into a frame of mind to be a quiet rebel, we have to start questioning who we are and what we do and why we're doing it. When I sat down to write The Inner Goddess Revolution, I got many lessons from writing a book, but my one big message from it was awareness. How we spend so much of our time on autopilot and we don't actually consider why we are doing what we're doing and what we're doing it for. And it's crazy. So it's this concept of awareness that we need to embrace so we can find out what is ordinary to us and rebel against it quietly. We don't have to be loud and obnoxious or hog all the limelight. We can make quiet changes within our own lives that will have a huge difference to ourselves. And of course, when we change, the world changes around us. So it's to ask ourselves questions. All good rebellions, so I'm told, start with the inner work. So if you want to be a rebel, and I would love you to be a quiet rebel with me, start asking questions why. That is the most important word. Why? Why am I doing this? And then you question long enough and hard enough, you begin to realise that why you do things is just because people have told you to, or people expect you to, or you feel that people expect you to, and they may never have actually said anything, or that it's the normal way of doing things, like going back to that example that you're born, you die, and in the middle you fill your time up with something that your father or your mother might have done it, so their parents might have done it, so you do the same. But there's no great aliveness in that living. So you, for example, my quiet rebellions. For one, I homeschool my daughter, and in this country it is not something that is widely done. There are people that homeschool their kids, but it isn't expected. It's not the normal thing. It's not the ordinary thing. And most parents don't even realise that there is that option to homeschool their children because the government doesn't tell you that. You have to go and find that out for yourself. So that is a quiet rebellion because I don't really want my daughter to grow learning through the traditional systems. She's happy with it and I'm happy with it. Another way that I'm a quiet rebel is the food I eat. I choose to have a food-based, of course, everyone does, a plant-based diet because that's what suits me. I don't want to be part of the industry that provides most of the meat in the UK. I just don't want to be part of that. That's my choice, and that's how I rebel, and I show my rebellion by eating in a way that suits me. There are other things as well. My belief system, I follow my own path. It's not a traditional path. Again, rebelling against the traditional organised religions. So these quiet things. But before I've made any of these decisions, I've had to question why. For raising my daughter and homeschool, why do I feel that it's not a good thing? And when I get to the bottom answer, that I don't believe that a traditional school holds the best educational experience, then I've got my reason to rebel. For my food decisions, I had to ask whether I wanted to be part of the meat industry, not supplying the meat industry, but buying into the meat industry, and why didn't that feel right to me? Even though I grew up and I had no clue that there were actually vegetarians in this world, and I didn't even know what a vegan was probably until I was in my 20s. So it's all about asking questions. Why is this normal? Why is this ordinary? Why am I expected, or why do I feel that I'm expected to follow a certain way? So I won't ramble on about this much longer. I just wanted to give you an introduction, and hopefully a prompt so you can start asking yourself these questions about why you're doing things, because once you've got this awareness, then you can start making more empowering decisions in your life. And that is when magic happens and your life changes. So I am going to be talking and interviewing other people who are quiet rebels, people who are writing books about things that they're passionate about, starting businesses or are in business because they don't want to fall into the normal way of getting a job and, you know, working 9 to 5. There are different ways and better ways of living life. I'll be talking to spiritual people, non-spiritual people, all kinds of people who are just quiet rebels. And if you'd like to be part of this journey with me, if you'd like me to interview you, or it would just be a chat, you can even bring your coffee cup or your tea cup, I'm good with that. Then email me at lynn@lynnthurman.com and we can chat and schedule a time and see what wonderful things that you've been getting up to. So thank you for your time, thank you for listening, and if you'd like to find me on the internet, go to lynnthurman.com, that's LYNTHURMAN.com, or you can find me on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. I'm over the place. And if I'd really love your views as well. What to you is a quiet rebellion? And what to you is ordinary? So leave comments. If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe to my channel. If you're listening to this on a podcast, I'm sure you can subscribe there too. So until next time, and again, thank you for listening.